welcome to this very special video on the Striking Scorpion 82 channel. And today I'm going to be showing you an in-depth grand magnetizing showcase of my Astra Militarum 18th Cadian Army Group units. So Luke requested me that I do this video to give you a perspective on how I magnetize my models. Now, unlike the previous video I've done with regards to my Space Marines, all of these models are fully painted and based. There's a lot of tanks, so there is going to be some improvements that I'm going to show you over the years that I've done this army. So with regards to collecting and how to magnetize and anything like that. So if you're a fan of interchanging your weapons and magnetizing and things like that, do check that out. There's also I've done a magnetizing playlist on my YouTube channel for miniatures that are mostly not painted, but there are units that will be featured in this video that are not magnetized. It's just I'll give you ideas on how to magnetize them, because you just learn and progress when doing the hobby and that. But pretty much all of these vehicles are magnetized, and I'll give you some history on how I collected my Astra Militarum. So here we go. Starting off with the smallest miniature, well, the company commander. So why am I showing you this commander? He's not magnetized, of course, but I do have some ideas, and that is for my Patreons that are supporting me. Now, one of the ideas that I've thought of for any of those that are supporting me of tier 3 level, tier 4 levels or above, they get to have customized weapons. So if you look at the Cadian command sprue box set, you can have all these different weapons to equip your commander. So that's what I'll be doing, hopefully, on my channel as well as Luke's channel. So very soon I'll be doing a customized captain, so you can interchange your weapons and everything like that. So you can equip them with a bolt pistol, plasma pistol, las pistol. You can equip them with a staff, officer's staff, and furthermore you can equip them with a chain sword, power sword, and a power fist. So that's the plan as to what I want to do with my commanders, and it will really give it a bit more detail and a bit more interactive with my patrons and those that want to support me of tier 3 or above. So yeah, sorry, not tier 3, tier 4 or above, so at company level. So if you're a company commander supporting me, my plan is to customize and magnetize the weapons so that you, the patrons, get to choose what you want to have your commanders to be equipped with. So it's exciting. I think it brings really good fun and narrative, and a little bit of a campaign as well. And yeah, so that's the plan for the company commanders. I'm going to still keep this guy. I may do him as a lieutenant for the purposes of the company support. So let's look at the next unit, which is the Sentinels. Now the Sentinels, I use this in a game that I've already done. We'll look at the Armoured Sentinel first. So the Armoured Sentinel, I've done this as narratively accurate as possible for the purposes of the Cadian faction. So this is the configuration I'd go for. It gives you different options on how to construct your Sentinels, but I did it in a narrative way, so I've done it so that the Cadian method of making Sentinels. So, of course, I store all of my my vehicles, magnetized options, in polygrip bags. So for example, you've got a las cannon here with its power pack, and that comes off here. And then let's equip it with a missile launcher, for example. So it's a missile launcher and attachment, and then you've got another small attachment which is just here. And this goes on the top there, like that. Simple as that. And then furthermore, these are all 3x2 magnets. 3x2 as in metric, so millimeters. So 3x2 magnets, drill little holes, positive to negative, easy as that. So then you put the autocannon, like that. And then you can take this off, equip it with a heavy flamer, if you really wanted to. Popular configuration for these would be las cannons and auto cannons, sometimes missile launchers as well. That's the heavy flamer variant. And then the multi-laser, this power pack, that goes onto here, like that. And then I've done that as well with the plasma cannon. Now the Scout variant cannot be equipped with a plasma cannon. It's not allowed to in the narrative and in the game. But for armoured Sentinels you can. So you can equip your Sentinels with plasma cannons, which is brilliant. I've already done it's a few years old now, but I've already done a showcase video of my Sentinels. But I've done some changes over the years. I've added insignia on my vehicles, just to give a vehicle an identification when it comes to the rank. So this here is just a regular guardsman, and then this one here is a corporal, it looks like, yes. So let's put the weapons onto this one. So let's go with the multi-laser. There you go. This is the Scout variant. Of course, they're all equipped with searchlights, and that is the official method. There you go. Let's take them off. And then you've got the heavy flamer. This would be a most common variant I would use. There you go. Put the heavy flamer into here. Then you've got the missile launcher, like that. Now I've got another one, they do mix up unfortunately, but I've got one that blends within the black pattern in there, so that's not a problem. I've just got to find it somewhere. But there you go, that's the auto cannon. And then, how could you forget the las cannon? So power pack, and then the las cannon. Simple as that. They're really easy to magnetize, and it's fun. And I highly recommend magnetizing Sentinels, because you'll need, like for example, las cannons in 9th edition Sentinels with this new stratagem, really powerful. And then for Scout Sentinels you'll need heavy flamers and things like that, or if you want to go for the cheap option, just go for multi-lasers. That's the cheapest option. So magnetize your vehicles, that's what I say, because with every edition it always adapts. So so there you go. So that's the Sentinels, and the next vehicle I'm going to show you is a little bit of in-depth about the Hydra and the Wyvern. Okay, the Hydra and the Wyvern. Now this is kind of like a showcase segment of this video. These are not magnetized, and the reason being, the way I collected it is because eventually I'll need another 2 more of these and another 2 more of them for the purposes of formations and squadrons and things like that. You can magnetize these, but they can be a bit difficult, they can be a bit flimsy, so I highly recommend that to save purposes of time you may as well just get 1 of each and have 3 of these and 1 of these. But for the purposes of this segment, I'll just show you what he's done. So for example, this is at the rank of Sergeant. So So number 2. There you go, you've got the onboard computer, things like that, the Hydra flat cannon there, if you can see that. It's a really, really good anti-aircraft weapon in the narrative, and these can advance in columns in support of the Leman Russes, which there was a episode in the narrative. So there you go, the Hydra flak cannon. It's an awesome looking tank. And it's a brilliant support tank for taking out anti-aircraft. It's brilliant. And then that's the Hydra. The next one is the Wyvern. Pretty much the same. This one is of the rank of, it looks like, Sergeant First Class. So there you go. Yeah, it's absolutely superb. I love the Wyvern. It's a very, very, very powerful tank against infantry. It's absolutely superb. Again, you can magnetise this, but it can be very fiddly. I mean, these here you have to magnetise, they all have to be magnetised, and these will have to be magnetised as well, because you have to put the barrels in the front. So yeah, it can be quite tricky, but it can be done. It's not a problem. But it's a lovely model. I really liked. I really, really enjoyed painting. So I did some Russ techniques in here for the purposes of turning the guns and things like that. The thing that does happen is that sometimes the models fall off. You have to watch out for that. So there you go. And all the standard vehicles, just to let you know, is that they're all equipped with just heavy bolters. They're not really designed for the assault, they're designed to be defensive. So there you go. So that there is the Wyvern and Hydra. And next we're going to look at the Manticore. Okay, this is the Manticore. Now this particular model has been repainted twice before, simply to enhance the grey that I've done, and obviously added the insignia and things like that. But the one thing I do love about this model is the cockpit inside. I mean, I love doing the interior tank work, because inside the tank I've done it so it's white, because it's obviously easier to see here. Again, for the purposes of magnetizing tips, what can I give? Well, these are actually stuck on. I can't take these off, unfortunately. I could, which I may be tempted to one day, because I may put some magnets on these. Now, there is another variant known as the Death Strike. Now, the Death Strike, the way that I've done it in the narrative is that there is only one Death Strike per regiment. So they are the last desperate attempt if a regiment is to be overrun. So they'll deploy the Death Strike. For the purposes of Manticores, there would be possibly a few batteries of these in a regiment. So possibly 1 to 3. But squadrons are free, of course. But these can be magnetised quite easily. They have magnetising slits and things like that, but I don't do it so that I magnetise the actual missiles themselves by, when you cut them in half and that kind of thing to make it into a Death Strike. I don't do that. I may as well just do it as a Manticore, because if you do too much magnetising, the magnet will go all over and skew-if and things like that. You don't want that. So if it's a Manticore, it's literally a Manticore. So that's the way that I've done it. So this is the vehicle, the Manticore. It's a beautiful looking model, and really powerful in the game as well. So again, you can magnetise the rockets, but not to make it into another variant. So if I did make, how many of these will I need? I need to have 3 eventually, 3 Manticores. So I will need to get some Manticores on the way. More of them will be coming on the channel. So that's the plan. So I'm going to try and do as much airbrushing as I possibly can and find a method of quickly painting them. So there you go. So that's the Manticore. The next vehicle we're going to look at now is the Basilisk. Okay. Infantry win firefights. Tanks win battles. Artillery wins wars. And the Basilisk is the artillery. I love Basilisks. This is an old model, but new chassis. So I'm a big fan of Basilisks. How many more do I need? 6 more to do a Basilisk artillery company. This is a battery, but to form up a company, there would be 9 of these, plus a command Chimera or Salamander command vehicle. So that's for purposes of narrative. I've got here the artillery crew. I've done it so that it's a shame that the Basilisk at the time didn't have like options to convert in your artillery crew. So I've done some conversion work myself. So I found these on like eBay and that kind of thing. These are the artillery tank shells. I was very fortunate to find these at the time. So artillery tank shells, I mean, it's just, I think it just brings it to life, the actual model, and people appreciate the fact that you spent the time converting these. So there you go. And it fits well as well, because there will be 1 commander, 1 driver and 2 loaders. So it's perfectly legit. And then we've got one at the back here, loading these. Now obviously these are not magnetized because it's an old kit. But the only thing that's new is the chassis. That's the new Chimera chassis. So there you go. That's the Basilisks. Thought I'd do a quick little showcase. I'll put these more in level. Like that. There you go. So that there are the Basilisks. Yes, I love the Basilisks. Big fan of them. If they redid the Basilisk, I reckon they would do the Colossus, Medusa, and other variants of artillery, and you could magnetize them, but at the moment you can't really with a Basilisk, so it's a little bit of a shame, but other than that, it's a fantastic model, and it's really good fun painting these and doing all the converting work and that kind of thing. So they've got a little personality, so I thought I'd show that for you guys on this video. So the next video, or next segment rather, what we're going to look at is we're going to look at the Hellhound. Here it is, the Hellhound. Now this here is the old Hellhound. Now I do have the new Hellhounds. I've done a magnetizing tutorial on how you can magnetize your Hellhounds. They're very straightforward to do. So, but I wanted to show you fully painted models for the purposes of this video, because it's always better, isn't it? So this is the classic Hellhound. Obviously it's not magnetized because it's an old model. As you can tell here, this is the old chassis as well. Now I was fortunate to find these at the time. This is back in 2012, 2013, something like that. It's going back a few years now. So it's quite old, this model, but I'm actually quite glad that it's got a little bit of dust on it, because it would be so long as it's going through campaigning. So this is the old lead Hellhound, the Inferno cannon, because at the time there was only the Hellhound, and this came out in the mid-90s, this kit, but the extra options here, they came out in the early 2000s. So and the Dozer blade as well. So this is the squadron leader, first sergeant, looks like, or sergeant first class. So there's that there. And again, you can't really do any magnetizing with this pattern of Hellhound, but you can with the new one. So the new Hellhound, you definitely can quite easily. You can even interchange the hull-mounted weapons as well. So just a quick video on, quick segment on Hellhound. And the next video I'm going to show you is, let's talk about the Leman Russ battle tank. That's coming up next. Right, this is the Leman Russ, the classic Leman Russ Mark 1B. Now, why do I call it the Mark 1B? Well, because in the mid-2000s, Games Workshop released the tank accessory upgrade sprue. So you can have the searchlight, the smoke launchers, track guards and things like that, and including the fuel barrel as well. Now, this vehicle is not magnetized because there's very, very limited options what you could have for this type. But the original chassis, that came out in 1995, possibly 96. So it's a very, very old kit, but it still looks fantastic. So I've got an entire tank company of this variant here. So this is not magnetized, unfortunately. The sponsons here, they're all glued down, and it's just got the classic battle cannon and the hull-mounted las cannon. So, but if you look at my how to magnetize Leman Russes, you can magnetize sponsons quite easily. So that there is the original Leman Russes that I use for our battle reports. But then obviously there's the Leman Russ Mark II. It's the Mark IIB, which is more upgraded, and the kit is a lot easier to build, and also there's a lot more weapons within the model itself. So let's get the polygrip bag out. Here it is. So lots of magnetizing options. So with this configuration, it's exactly the same as you saw at the previous variant. So you've got the battle cannon, hull-mounted las cannon, sponson, heavy bolters. This is quite an old kit. I got this really when the new Leman Russ came out. So the sponsons are glued down, but as I said before, you can magnetize these sponsons. Do check that out on my how to magnetize Leman Russes video on my channel. So, but most Leman Russes in the Cadian faction would have sponson weapons. The only exception to that are Vanquishers. Now, Vanquishers are a dedicated anti-tank weapon designed to take out enemy tanks. So, say for instance you didn't have a Vanquisher, sorry, if you didn't have the sponsons, you can take this off and easily equip it with a Vanquisher. But some Vanquishers, they can be equipped with sponson weapons, but very rarely. So that's that there, that's the Vanquisher cannon variant. And then what you can do, if I take all these out, it gives you more of variety. So let's take off the heavy bolters here, and then you can equip it with multi-melters. You don't really have to magnetize these because the actual friction of the plastic contacting with the paint, it should hold it in place. So multi-melters are really good in the game, and especially in 9th edition when there's no modifiers for moving your heavy weapons for vehicles, it's a good option to have. And multi-melters could have a potential of 8 damage, so it's good to magnetize. And then of course you can equip it with the plasma sponsons, plasma cannons, like that. And then if you don't want plasma cannons, you can take these, which are the heavy flamers. Now these would be quite rare on Leman Russes in the narrative. Maybe the Leman Russ Eradicator would have this option. So what I do to have that configuration is I take this off. Now I magnetize this so that this is a 1x1 magnet. So 1x1 magnet fits on a 3x2 magnet, and I've drilled some holes so it fits into there, so it fits in there quite snug like that. And then again, positive to negative, which is the important thing about magnets. And I put a magnet underneath the turret and then a magnet here, so it's a lot easier for you to magnetize your tank. And this, I believe, is the correct way, like that. So this is the Leman Russ Eradicator. So this was what it's supposed to be equipped with. So that should slide in there like that. So there you go. That there is the Leman Russ Eradicator. And then if you want to take this off, for the purposes of videoing, you can take this one off and convert it to the Leman Russ Exterminator. So that there goes on, oh no, that's the wrong way. That goes in there like that. That goes onto there, like that, and then you put the armour plate at the front like that. So that's the Leman Russ Exterminator. So it's pretty easy, and then you can obviously take off the hole mounted las cannon and replace it with a heavy bolter if you wanted to. So yeah, the new Leman Russ gives you a lot of options as opposed to the previous model. So that's the standard Leman Russ tank. Now if I put this to the side, I'm going to show you the Leman Russ Demolisher next. Okay, this is the Leman Russ Mark 1B Demolisher. The Demolisher is more heavily armoured than the regular Leman Russ. However, it is mainly a siege tank designed to knock out tanks as well as heavy infantry for the purposes of narrative and how effective the gun is. So this here came out roughly the same time as the classic Leman Russ in the mid-90s, and the extra upgrades with regards to the smoke launchers. Now originally I did have pintle mounted weapons, but I did take them off, unfortunately. I may one day get some storm bolters and heavy stubbers and put a magnet on the top there if I really wanted to have them. So it can be done, it's pretty easy, just drill a small hole and fit. I reckon you'll probably need a 2x1 magnet for the purposes of strength to magnetize your pintle mounted weapons. This is the Leman Russ Mark 1B Demolisher, and then we're going to show you the Leman Russ Mark 2B tank. This is a big difference. You can see here this is the Plasma Executioner variant that I've already magnetized and put together. So the great thing about this tank is that you can magnetize the back of your vehicle to take away the plasma vents in replacement of an ammo store, which goes at the back like that. So that fits in there nicely, and it's a lot easier to magnetize from the front. So you can add the Punisher variant, and then of course you can add the new Demolisher tank barrel. I won't show you the sponsing weapons because it's pretty much exactly the same as the Leman Russ Mark 2B and how you can configure them. But there you go, the Demolisher. It is a good tank, very good tank, and with the grind and advanced rules it's well worth magnetising, and Leman Russes should be magnetised for the purposes of tactical deployment and for the purposes of eradicating the enemies of the Emperor. So there you go. So that there concludes the Leman Russ tank, and next we're going to look at the most numerous Imperial Guard tank, and that is the Chimera. Okay, now this is the Chimera Mark 1B. I say Mark 1B because of obviously the track guards and upgrades and things like that. So this is the original Chimera that came out in the 1990s, roughly the same time as the classic Leman Russ Mark 1Bs. So this is the old chassis, and it's getting pretty old now, this tank, which is good because it's more realistic. A lot of dust, a lot of grime, and I have got new Chimeras on the way. So the plan for these is, obviously I'm never going to throw them away because why should I, is to have these as a support for my tank company as an upgrade. So it gives them a bit more enhancement there. So funny enough, it was Luke that constructed this vehicle all those years ago, and actually Luke painted all the patterning, and that's how I got inspired to paint all my tanks from then on thence. So there you go. So it's got ammo storage, it's got a hole mounted dozer blade, and now there will be a magnetizing tutorial coming up in the near future on how to magnetize chimeras. It's not going to be featuring this particular kit, it's going to be featured with the new Chimera chassis. So the good thing about the new Chimera is that you can have the options of having a single heavy bolter, a heavy flamer and a multi-laser, and you can interchange the hole mounted weapons as well. So I'm looking forward to doing that, and it looks pretty easy to magnetize as well. So I need to get a whole load more of chimeras for the purposes of arranging this formation when it comes to sorting out the 18th Acadian Army Group. So there you go. So that's that. That's the Chimera. Next we're going to look at the Valkyrie and Vendetta. Right, this here is the Valkyrie / Vendetta. So I've configured this model. It's had a bit of a story over the years. This used to be a Valkyrie, but now it's been converted into a Vendetta. And they are official Forge World twin las cannons as well, because knowing me, I hate converting, and I love to have official models for the purposes of collecting. So this is the Valkyrie Vendetta, and it's got sponce and heavy bolters, which I always keep forgetting when firing. And these are the twin las cannons. Now, for the purposes of magnetizing, you can magnetize this if you are clever. So you can put some good magnets into there. You'll probably need looking at this, you'll need a 5x3 magnet, and they'll magnetize to there. So that's not a problem. You can magnetize this quite easily. For the purposes of underneath, I will be repainting the belly of the Valkyrie, and the proper term is dorsal. So I'm going to be painting it in the purposes of it's the Space Wolves Grey, which is what I'm going to paint it as, because it's kind of like a mix of blue and grey, a light grey, which is a really good sky colour. So that's what I've done with my Aeronautica Imperialis. So when I redo this Valkyrie, I'll paint it into the sky blue colour scheme that you see there. So it's equipped with a twin las cannon, or 3 twin las cannons, and it is a beast. And they're pretty good in 9th edition as well. So there you go. And in Aeronautica Imperialis, they're quite frightening. Wow. So there you go. So that's the Valkyrie Vendetta and Valkyrie. And we're going to look at the super heavy tanks of the Astra Militarum next. Baneblades. Oh, I love Baneblades. Yes, every guardsman needs a Baneblade, and the Baneblade is the super heavy tank of the Astra Militarum. It is equipped with a ton of firepower, and it is so intimidating on the battlefield in the 41st millennium. And it still is to this day. So, what is it equipped with? Well, it's equipped with the Demolisher cannon, the 3 twin heavy bolters, the las cannons, you've got the coaxial auto cannon, you've got the Baneblade cannon. It is armed to the teeth. But how do you magnetize a Baneblade? Yes, you can magnetize a Baneblade. Now, there is one Baneblade kit that I have got. That is the GW variant. So it's the Shadow Sword and Baneblade variant condensed into one kit. So I'm really looking forward to doing that, because that's going to be an in-depth magnetizing on how to do Baneblades. So it can be done quite easily. So for example, this here, now this one is not magnetized because this is the older variant that I've done. Basically what I've done is I went on eBay and I found a spare turret to make and paint another Hellhammer turret. So that goes on top there when replaced. But for the purposes of magnetizing, I've already constructed some Baneblades in the past, and I've already done a magnetizing tutorial, but I really want to improve that magnetizing tutorial, because the one thing I didn't do is magnetize the sponson weapons. So with these you can do, and I'm going to do that in the near future. But if you do check that out on my channel, I've already done a video on how to magnetize Baneblades. So the sponsons can come off and that kind of thing as well. You can easily do that. So these here though are magnetized. I put some magnets here. These are 5x3 magnets. They go onto here quite nicely. It saves them moving around and that kind of thing. So they fit on there nice and snug in there. And yeah, that's pretty much it with this particular model. I've had this Baneblade since 2008, 2006 possibly. Basically when the Baneblade first came out, I was like, oh yes, it's come out. Looking forward to using it. So tempted to do a Baneblade company. I've already got 4 more super heavies that I've constructed. I've yet to paint them. But there is one in particular that I really want to do, and that is the Storm's Shadow Sword and Baneblade kit into one condensed model. So I'm going to make every magnetized option as possible. So that's the Baneblade, and the Stormlord is next. And last but not least, the Stormlord. Yes, now this weapon, this mighty machine, does have a ton of options. So it is an absolutely superb tank to use in the game, and this particular one is really, really good fun for the purposes of transporting an entire platoon of infantry. So it can transport up to 40 models for the purpose of the game. So it's really, really good. And furthermore, there's a ton of magnetizing options with it as well. So let's get started. So obviously it's equipped with the Vulcan Mega Bolter and 2 twin las cannons, the sponson heavy bolters, and a single twin heavy bolter at the front, and also sponson or side heavy stubbers in support. So there you go. I've done this commander here. This came from the Bretonian's head, and I cut off the laurel on top of his head, just giving him a shaved haircut. So I've done that. And now the weapons configuration. So this is the Stormlord pattern, and then you've got for this one, so what you do here is you take off these are not magnetized because they hold up by themselves. You take off this, there's magnets here onto there. That magnet has just come off. I'll glue that later on, don't worry. Oh, it had to happen. So sometimes it does happen. The plastic glue, the super glue does come off. So I'll take that off there. And then it's this gun mantlet. here. And you place this here. It goes on like that. And then you take that off, flip this upside down. That goes on top like that. And then that goes on like that. That is the Bane Hammer, I believe. Bane Hammer variant of that tank. And then you've got another variant here. Goes on there. Like that. Looks like that's the Doom Hammer. And then that's the configuration for the gun mantlet, the front. So then what I do is I go here, flip that to there, flip that to here. That's the Storm Hammer. Goes on there like that. And then you've got, I think this is the Bane Hammer actually. Yeah. I don't remember the names off by heart. I have to look in the codex. You'll probably know in the comments. So that's another configuration, and obviously I'll make sure that it's all nice and level for the purposes of straightening up. There's actually one thing I've got to tell you. There's a few pictures from Games Workshop where they have this upside down. Not good. So that's something to note. I think they had that picture in the codex, the latest codex that they've done. So if you check that out, they've done that barrel the wrong way round. So, and the last variant to conclude this magnetizing tutorial is of course the Shadow Sword variant. So there you go. This is a Titan killer, and this would be the most common variant of the support tanks for the Bane Blades. So the Bane Blade would be the most common, and then after that you'd have Shadow Swords, and then it goes on, and vice versa. So there you go. So that's it. That there is all the magnetizing options for my 18th Cadian Army Group. So that's pretty much how I magnetize my models, and there's going to be some ideas that I'll be doing in the near future, especially with the Command HQ, and I'm really looking forward to doing them for the purposes of those that want to support me on the channel. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching this video. If you've seen this video for the first time, do hit the like and subscribe button, and if you want to support us on the channel, you can support us on the Striking Scorpion 82 Plus channel. There's double the content, and if you want to be mentioned in our games of Warhammer 40K for the Ultramarines and Imperial Guard battle reports, do support me on www.patreon.com/JBWargamer87. Become a recruit in the Astra Militarum 18th Cadian Army Group, or be a battle brother for my Ultramarines, and then you go up in promotion the higher tier you want to support me at. So there you go. And thank you to all those that are supporting me currently, and thank you guys for your support. So there you go. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, Cadia stands. Happy wargaming.